Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This is the second in my series of videos called A Quick Guide to Doctor Who. If you haven't already seen the video on Series 1, make sure to check that one out. If you're interested in classic Doctor Who, then check the video in the description. Today we move on to the second Doctor in the new era, David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. Now the 10th Doctor was quite different from 9. Instead of a man racked with guilt and very PTSD, we've got a much happier, zanier individual. He's still the same guy though, so he is still guilty, and he's actually a lot crueler than 9 in a lot of cases. So obviously there's a bit of cast change up this season. Obviously Christopher Eccleston is no longer the Doctor, we've got David Tennant. Also Jack has gone from this season entirely, which is a shame. But Rose is still a main character, and we get occasional appearances from Mickey and Jackie as well. So, I mean, we're all good, but I would have liked to have kept Jack around for another season. Before the Christmas special aired, we've got a Children in Need special called Born Again. It's only a few minutes, it's just the one scene. It just gives us a little bit of the 10th Doctor before his first full episode. It's fine. Nothing more to say about it, really. David Tennant's first episode was the 2005 Christmas special, appropriately titled The Christmas Invasion. This episode sees the return of Mickey and Jackie, as well as Harriet Jones, who is now the Prime Minister of the UK. Basically, the world is under attack from an alien called the Sycorax, and the Doctor, who has just recently regenerated, is comatose and therefore unable to stop them. To be honest, the lack of 10 in this episode was a good move on the writer's part, as it allows the modern audience to accept the death of the 9th Doctor and the fact that the main character will change every few years. As this is a Christmas special, it's also appropriately Christmassy. There's evil robot Santas, Christmas music, Christmas dinners, and my personal favourite, the killer Christmas tree. Overall, a pretty good episode and a good start to his era. While fighting the Sycorax, the Doctor's hand is cut off, but because he's in his first 15 hours of regeneration, his hand grows back. After the defeat of the Sycorax leader, the Sycorax try to leave, but Harriet Jones orders Torchwood to destroy the Sycorax ship. This pisses off the Doctor for some reason, and he proceeds to destroy her political career. The Doctor then goes home and picks an outfit from the wardrobe of the Tardis. There are some nice references in the wardrobe, such as the second Doctor's trousers and jacket, a scarf, the 6th Doctor's outfit from the 2 Doctors, his regular jacket, the 3rd Doctor's cape, Five's hat, Jamie's kilt, and Stephen's shirt. I especially like the references to past companions. There's more stuff in there, but I'm not going to mention it all for time. And while we're on the subject of outfits, there's obviously the 10th Doctor's outfit, which is good. I mean, every Doctor has an outfit that matches them well, as does this one. It's not one of my favourites, not one of my least favourites, but it's pretty good. I guess that's what I'd say about the 10th Doctor in general, to be honest. Next up is New Earth, the first proper episode of Series 2. The Doctor gets a message, so him and Rose head to New Earth in the future. There they meet the face of Bo, who they first encountered back in the episode The End of the World from Series 1. They also re-encounter Cassandra. For some reason, Cassandra was never a good villain, so I'm not sure why they brought her back. Throughout most of the episode, she's either possessing the Doctor or Rose, which is a terrible idea for the first episode of a series, especially when they didn't really spend a lot of time with the 10th Doctor in the Christmas Invasion. So yeah, terrible idea. Cassandra dies, I don't really care, although there is some nice foreshadowing with the face of Bo. He supposedly has a secret for the Doctor that will tell him on his deathbed, which apparently will be the next time they meet. Anyway, this episode is really shit and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Next up is Tooth and Claw. At the start of the episode, some monks invade Torchwood House. They plan to unleash a werewolf on Queen Victoria and scratch her, and then take over the Empire once she's a werewolf. As ridiculous as that sounds, it's pretty good. At the end of the episode, Queen Victoria knights the Doctor and Rose, and then banishes them. She then founds the Torchwood Institute to battle aliens that threaten to harm the UK. Episode 3 is called School Reunion. The Doctor, Rose and Mickey investigate a school with some mysterious stuff going on. The head teacher is played by Anthony Head, who you might know for playing King Uther in Merlin and the Prime Minister in Little Britain. Unexpectedly for the Doctor, another person is investigating the school, Sarah Jane Smith. If you don't know Sarah Jane, she first met the Doctor in classic Doctor Who Season 11, back when he was the 3rd Doctor. She travelled with the Doctor until Season 14, where the 4th Doctor left her behind. This is a good episode because Rose gets to see what could happen to her. Sure, the Doctor had to leave her, but he could have come back. And obviously she's resentful of that. Elizabeth Sladen is really good in this episode. One thing I don't like is that Rose is really bitchy and jealous towards Sarah Jane, which is quite annoying. Meanwhile, Mickey spends the episode being quite entertaining, just happy to see Rose get her comeuppance. The monster design is pretty cool, and it's cool to see K9 in the new series. At the end of the episode, Sarah's offered a spot in the TARDIS, which he says no to and says goodbye to the Doctor. She would later get her own spin-off show called The Sarah Jane Adventures. Mickey asks to join the TARDIS, an offer he previously refused from the 9th Doctor. The Doctor is happy to let him on board. Rose clearly doesn't want him because she's a bitch. Also, certain websites are blocked by the Torchwood Institute. Next came one of the best episodes of the entire 10th Doctor's era, The Girl in the Fireplace. The Doctor, Mickey and Rose arrive on a spaceship with no crew. They also find an old-fashioned fireplace there, and to be honest, I don't really want to say more on that because it's such a good episode and I don't want to spoil it. One thing I will say is that the Clockwork Droids are a great monster, and they terrify my friend to no end. A two-parter followed called The Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. The Tardis crew end up in a parallel world. Here, Mickey's nan is alive, Rose's dad is alive, and Mickey is called Ricky, who is the most wanted man in London. There's also a phone survey being run by Torchwood. I don't want to say much because of how good this episode is, but the obvious thing is that this sees the return of the Cybermen to the new series. The last appeared as a head in the episode Dalek, but the last appearance of a living one was back in season 25 of Classic Who, that being the episode's Silver Nemesis. Personally, I prefer the Cybermen to the Daleks. I think this is a lot more interesting. At the end of the story, Mickey leaves the TARDIS. It's very unfortunate to see him go so early, however it is a good ending and it's a sad scene. Overall, this two-part is amazing. It feels very action-packed and cinematic. I recommend checking it out for yourself. Unfortunately, the next episode was The Idiot's Lantern. The Doctor and Rose travel to the Queen's coronation. I enjoy the setting, but I'm not a big fan of the villain. The Wire is an alien that lives in a TV and steals people's faces. And then someone mentions Torchwood again in this episode. Overall, not great. One of the worst episodes of the season. Now for my favourite story of Series 2, The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. This is the first episode to feature the Ood, a slave race occasionally featured in Doctor Who, mostly in the 10th Doctor's era. The Doctor and Rose arrive on a planet right next to a black hole, a planet that can't possibly exist. The Ood are getting possessed and a sinister voice is claiming to be the devil. Also, the crew of the ship represent the Torchwood archive. The episode is amazing, and frankly I won't tell you what lurks in the titular Satan Pit. You'll just have to watch it for yourself. After the two best episodes of the series, we get the two worst. First is the infamous Love and Monsters. This is the first Doctor Light episode of the series. We follow a man called Elton who's searching for the Doctor. In a nice set of references, we see where Elton was during the episodes Rose, Aliens of London, and the Christmas Invasion. I think this episode is supposed to be about fandom, a bunch of people coming together because of the Doctor. It's a nice message and a nice episode, to be honest. That is until Peter Kay shows up. Peter Kay is even more obsessed with finding the Doctor than Elton. He mentions the Torchwood files, and in a nice reference, evidence of Rose is corrupted by the Bad Wolf virus. Peter Kay turns out to be an alien, which, fun fact, was designed by a kid as part of a competition. Peter Kay is, in fact, the Absorbal. This is followed by the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, a man being chased by Peter Kay in a thong. Fortunately, the Doctor finally shows up and brings the episode to an end. To be honest, it's a bit underrated, as it's pretty enjoyable until Peter Kay is revealed to be the Absorbal. The Absorbal is from the twin planet of Raxacorica Fallipatorius, home of the Slovene. The twin planet of Raxacorica Fallipatorius is called Clom. In other news, Saxon is leading the polls. Fear Her is next, and it's the worst episode of the series, and for a while it was the worst episode of the whole show. There's a girl called Chloe Webber who draws people and makes them disappear. You never expect much from a child actress, but she may be the worst there ever was. If you don't believe me, her only other credits were appearances on Totally Doctor Who and Doctor Who Confidential, as well as archive footage on Charlie Brooker's Wipe, where I have no doubt he took the piss out of her. At the Olympic Stadium, because it's set in the 2012 Olympics by the way, someone mentions Torchwood. The only good part is when the Doctor carries the Olympic torch. To finish off, we have the two-part Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. In this episode, we're finally introduced to the modern-day iteration of Torchwood. When the Doctor and Rose arrived back in 2006 to see Jackie, there are ghosts walking the earth. This is Torchwood's doing. This episode is also where we first hear the Torchwood theme, later used in the Torchwood TV series, albeit briefly. Torchwood also has a giant sphere that apparently doesn't exist. It's time to talk spoilers for the finale, so if you haven't watched it, watch it and come back. Anyway, Mickey is back. The ghosts are Cybermen, and the sphere contains the Cult of Skaro, 4 of the smartest Daleks to ever live, and supposedly the last 4 Daleks in existence, until they release a army of Daleks hidden in a Time Lord prison. To run through this quickly, alternate Pete shows up, he's reunited with Jackie, and the Doctor needs to suck all of the Daleks and the Cybermen into the void. And unfortunately, during the process of this, Rose is stuck in Pete's world. The Doctor and Rose say goodbye at Bad Wolf Bay, and many people cite this as one of the saddest moments in Doctor Who. As someone who doesn't like Rose all that much, I wasn't really that sad when I saw this. Mere seconds after his goodbye to Rose, a bride randomly appears in the TARDIS, leading into the Christmas special, The Runaway Bride, which we'll cover in the next video of this series. This took a long time to make, so I hope you enjoyed. I'm not sure how long the Series 3 video will take to make, but I'll get right to it. I've so far rewatched the first 4 episodes, so we'll see how that goes. Not sure what video will come next, don't want to stick to anything, don't want to say I'm going to do something and then not do it, so we'll just have to wait to find out about that. I also have a podcast called Alex Likes Movies and Stuff. We have 3 episodes out so far. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. The most recent episode was the Halloween one, covering the Halloween films. There'll be another one out this month, hopefully. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.